another episode of the Wanderlust Wealth Show. Today we have Rachel Gainsbrugh, who's born in Haiti and went from being a retired pharmacist to now an expert in luxury short-term rentals and midterm rentals, as well as an educator, public speaker, podcast host, course creator, coach, and a mom to two amazing boys. Welcome to the show, Rachel.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. I'm just so excited to be here, Olivia. I have been looking forward to this for a very long time. So thank you for reaching out and getting me on here.
Absolutely. I know. And it's like we're both busy and I feel like our schedules are always like mismatched, but we finally made it happen.
Yes, finally. And I just want to share with your community how much work that I see you putting out there and how much effort it takes to put this together. You're bringing on some of the most amazing guests in the industry. So guys, go ahead, give it a like, give it a share. Sharing is caring. No friends left behind. So please do that for this episode as well.
Love. Well, so Rachel, before all the real estate investing, the podcast, the courses, everything, who was Rachel?
Oh, I was a little girl from Haiti, like you mentioned a little bit earlier. I went on, got the doctorate, did all the things. Being an immigrant, I had that work ethic instilled in me. But sadly, that came with a lot of student loan debt, like to the tune of $500,000 in student loan debt. So I was struggling, fighting for my life, burning the candles at both ends, my husband and I, and we had found BiggerPockets. So we slowly started to take off our Dave Ramsey hat and put on our BiggerPockets hat because we started to ask ourselves, okay, we're going to pay off all this debt, but at the end of the rainbow, what's left for us was a net worth of zero. So we started to think strategically, okay, so what do we want the next 5 years to look like, the next decade to look like, heck, the next month to look like, right? And so real estate investing was really what opened the door for us to that.
I love that. So I guess, how did you even find BiggerPockets in real estate investing? Like, how did you make that transition, right? Because I think there's so many people. I remember I also, before I even really understood real estate investing, I was in about $25,000 worth of credit card debt. Nothing like your $500,000, but still, quite a bit, especially after, not making really any money until I graduated grad school and started working in the workforce. I just really didn't have that financial literacy. So I found Dave Ramsey and was like, okay, I'm going to pay off this debt. And then I found BiggerPockets and I was just like, ooh, I could do both.
Yep.
So I guess, how was that transition for you and how did you even find BiggerPockets?
Yeah, I think I either found it from an ad or from a local member of my community who is in a real estate investing association. So I was always kind of curious about real estate investing because it's one thing that I felt like I understood at a surface level. Like during that time, Olivia, Bitcoin was coming into the light. Of course, stocks have always been out there. And I just couldn't figure out what was going on with any of those investing strategies. I couldn't figure out, how do I really gain control? I'm a control freak pharmacist. We have our control issues. And I couldn't figure out, how do I gain control to make sure that I'm squeezing the most juice out of each of these specific investments. I'm mitigating risk. I'm optimizing. I'm transitioning things out, which is really important to me as an active investor. And so at that point, I determined, real estate is it for me. And BiggerPockets, at that point, they were growing rapidly. And I'm sure the SEO was hitting because when I started to do that research of how to get started, of how to run my numbers, BiggerPockets bubbled up to the top of the searches. And I was able to start delving in. But I did realize quickly, and we can dive into that, but I did realize quickly that there was a lack of alignment with the strategies that were being shared on the BiggerPockets platform, but I was able to pluck and take some of the literacy that I was getting and use it to my own advantage and use it in a way that was sustainable for me specifically.
Yes. So I actually want to dive into the lack of alignment piece right now, because I remember too, when I first got started listening to BiggerPockets, everyone's pushing, long-term rentals, stuff like that. And none of that just like really hit my fancy. When I was hearing about $200 a door, or, for a house and cash flow, I was just like, that's not really, like, I'm gonna need a lot of houses to make this work. But then I heard about house hacking. I was like, okay, just baseline, getting all of I was paying $1,800 a month in rent at that time. Getting that covered, I'm like, that's a pretty huge chunk of change. And then on top of that, hearing short-term rentals paired with house hacking, I was like, there's something to this. And that's what like made my light bulb go off. But how about you? Like, what was the thing that, like, where was that misalignment for you? And what was the thing you were able to pluck out?
I feel like we were living in the same like world, like, just in a different but same thing. So that was the same experience that I had. The lack of alignment was, okay, I would need at least 20 door properties to get to that couple thousand a month that I would need to be able to allow me to, take Thursday and Friday off so I could pick up the kids from school on those days, because at that point we're working 14-hour days. And so what I do love about BiggerPockets was that you got a lot of transparency of the deals that went well, the deals that went poorly, and how the deals were going along in terms of, for instance, I remember someone saying, well, if you purchase a property in this D-class neighborhood, here are the struggles that you're going to face. And so a tenant type, right, that specific tenant avatar is going to be a little bit more needy. It's going to not pay on time. It's going to, so that was a heavy lift that I did not want to participate in, because I already had a full-time job. I wasn't looking to necessarily get another full-time job that was a little bit less a thankless, low revenue full-time job.
Right.
Right. So full-time job on the side that, the revenue was popping. I was more interested in exploring that. So I was looking at this property. It was a 20 unit in Georgia, in the south of Georgia, kind of a D class neighborhood. It was only $320,000. What can go wrong? So I did the research at BiggerPockets. Said, you need to know about the rent rolls. I pulled up the rent rolls. Honey, they're paying $175 a month.
Excuse me? How is that even possible?
I wanted to move there. I was like,
how do I get that rent?
And then so I started to think to myself, like, I pulled out the calculator. I was like, how much is that? So it just completely reframed my mindset around, okay, I'm not going to be necessarily fix and flipper. I'm not going to be in these D-class neighborhoods. I even went out to see a property and I said, you know what, this is a full-time job of renovation and fix and flip. And I said, Rachel doesn't buy ugly houses. Rachel buys pretty houses. So the same $17,000 I could have used to buy this other property. There was 3-bedroom property. I took that $17,000 instead of buying cash, I put it as a down payment. And within 3 months, I made half of that back.
Oh,
and so
gosh,
for me, the rest was history.
Yes. Love it. Okay. Well, so before we even get to the point where, because I think a lot of people, right, they hear $17,000, that's like really low, honestly, for buying a property, right? And people think that they need $50, $100, $150,000 in the bank in order to start investing in real estate, which is just not true. So I guess for that first property, number one, how were you able, like, because especially since you were in, and we'll talk about student debt in a little bit, but especially because you were in student debt, how were you able to save up that money? And how were you able to find a property that you could only put $17,000 down on?
Okay, so that money came from a variety of places.
Okay.
we had some savings. I was actually going up the corporate ladder and got these bonus checks. So I squirreled away the bonus checks. So we were piling up cash. At that point, our snowball, I think, was around $3,000 to $4,000 a month, which was really nice. But I took a pause and said, you know what? Let's pause. Let's pile up cash. It's not like it's going anywhere. Let's see if we can make like this one real estate investment work. And I remember my husband, after 3 months of us, trying to find deals, driving around to the outskirts of Alabama to look at deals, I said to him, listen, if this doesn't pan out, we still have those funds. We'll apply it to the snowball. It'll be a big snowball. Yeah. But I'd like for us to experiment with this. Yeah. And so when that deal was a bust, the Alabama deal, we were driving back home. We said, okay, I guess it's a bust. Let's go ahead and apply it to the snowball. But the next morning, a deal came on the market right in our own backyard. I could walk to this house.
Oh my gosh.
Walk to this house.
You're like, I know this place.
I know this place. Imagine a location that you're very familiar with. It doesn't happen all the time, but I know this place. And it was on sale for $290,000. And by the time we reached out, There were already 7 offers
Oh
on
my
it with
gosh.
all of these contingencies. And we drove by 3 times. We're like, yep, the roof looks like it needs a little something. That's okay. But we know for 290,000, this is a $400,000 neighborhood.
Yeah.
So we said, hey, no contingency as is.
Yep. We'll
We'll take
buy it.
it.
We'll buy
And they were like, oh, you're number 7. Now you're at the top of the line.
Yeah.
And so we didn't know that the funds that we had would have been enough to cover the down payment. But because we were working with a local bank who
Yeah.
was willing to give us a 5%, somewhere about 5% down
For an investment property?
for an investment property.
That is huge.
That is
Oh my
huge.
gosh.
Usually 20%, 15%, but it was a local bank who we had a relationship with, a credit union, you never know.
Yep.
And they were willing and able to give it to us, which was phenomenal.
Well, and that's the thing. Real estate really is a relationship business. That's like, I have one of my students in my coaching program. She was able to find a lender who does HELOCs on investment properties. And I'm like, what? Because that's really hard to find.
Excuse, that's amazing.
Right?
One
So
of my students, she got a 0% down as well for an investment property in on the Gulf Coast. So you just never know.
Yes, literally. There are so many different ways to do it out there. So one thing I wanted to touch on. So at this point, had you already fully paid off your student debt or no?
No,
Mhm.
not at all. And that's why, like, we were squirreling away the funds. We're going to use it for the next snowball for the student loan debt. So we were still in debt, quite a bit in debt, but just kind of future casting. I'm always future casting. And maybe that's to my detriment sometimes. Like, you have to be in the here and the now. But I'm like, well, what is later going to, like, 5 years from now, we're going to be celebrating, yay, we have zero net worth. Like, wouldn't it be nice to have some assets on the other side? And that's how we shifted gears. So instead of applying that big chunk of 17,000, we're squirreling away to the next snowball for the student loan debt. We applied it as a down payment.
Well, and that's the thing, because so many people think they have to be completely debt free and have no student debt in order to start investing in real estate. But the thing is honestly, your student debt is probably one of the lowest debts that you are going to have. So if you can buy an investment property that can then cover the payment on your student debt, that is a way better place to be in, because once you're actually done paying it off, now you have assets. Now you're worth 100,000, 200, potentially millions, right?
Yeah. And the beauty of it, Olivia, if I can just interject, is you don't need hundreds of properties to be worth millions of dollars, right? You need 100%. A handful of well-positioned, well-appointed properties. I tell my members, we're not going to buy the grab bag properties, the $17,000 properties. That's okay in some markets, but for my avatar who are working full time, sometimes 2 jobs, sometimes moonlight shifts, like, you just don't have the time, the energy, the brain capacity to be worried about those types of assets. You want to put yourself in a position where it's in more of an alignment, as well as it's much more sustainable.
Completely. I am also 100% on that route. Like, I am not the want to grow to 50, 100 properties in 1 year. No, I want a few incredible properties that are cash flowing so well that you can quit off of like 2 to 3 and be done, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
Also, isn't it so crazy how easy it is to take out student loan debt, but then how much harder it is? Like, it's not saying that it's hard to get a loan, but how much more difficult it is to get a loan on an investment property than it is to get student loan debt.
Oh my gosh. Like, I was this lack of financially illiterate person and like 19, 20 years old. And they were willing to give me hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Insane. I know I got really lucky. I had scholarships all throughout my undergrad and grad school. So I never went into student debt, but I still had no financial literacy, and it's just as easy to get a credit card, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, well, they're giving me this money. So weird. And the interest rate's like 20%. Oh my God.
Goodness.
Insanity. So can you talk about more also the benefits of investing in your backyard, especially for that first property?
Like I said a little bit earlier, now I have trust issues. And so, yeah, so for me, this was perfect. I got to be the one to launch the property myself. I got to be the one to build out my systems to understand, well, what is a good clean versus a bad clean? I got to
Mm-hmm.
train my cleaning team for that very first property. I was the cleaning team to start out, if I'm being completely honest. And after putting together 10 beds, I was like, okay, I don't think I could do this
Oh my
long
gosh.
term. And so I came up with the systems, the processes myself, and I was able to then hand that off. So that is the beauty of investing in your own backyard. But I know your listeners, not everyone can. There's,
Yes.
California, no offense, but it could be a little
Mm-hmm.
cost prohibitive. I know you and I, we have members of our community from Hawaii,
Yeah.
areas where it's just really expensive. And so that's why it's important to run the numbers throughout the US, and your budget is your guide. Like, I know a lot of people are like, well, there are properties everywhere. I don't know where to start. Well, what's your budget? Your
Yeah.
budget's going to limit you in a
Yeah.
hot second because reality sets in, right?
I know, that's like, I tell everyone to just get freaking pre-approved so you know even how much you could, because your brain's like, ooh, I could buy this 500,000, 700,000. It's like, if you don't qualify it, no, you can't.
No, you cannot.
And like, yes, there are other ways to get properties like creative financing and stuff like that. But if
Yeah.
you're more honestly, and here's my thing is if your mortgage provider is not giving you a loan larger than that amount, it's probably gonna be a bad idea. And you don't know what you're doing, and this is your very first property. It's probably going to be a bad idea for that very first one to go above that.
Yeah. So can we talk about that for a second? Because I think there's a lot of press around creative financing. Everyone who talks to me, they want to do these creative financing strategies off the books, subject to seller finances, all of those things, which are beautiful strategies. But number one, it requires a level of expertise. Number two, the ramp up is going to be a minute, because to get those deals to come into your to come to your desk, the deal flow is going to stagnate if you don't have a marketing budget, if you don't have a network of individuals scoping out those properties to bring them to you. Number three, when they bring them to you, well, are you clear enough on how to vet to make sure they're allowed to bring them to you, right?
Right.
So I've seen so many things over the last year or so. It's like, oh my gosh, So there's the right way to do it, but it could be a big scammer trap as well. So please proceed cautiously.
Yeah.
That's why you have Olivia in your corner to double and triple check things, because not all deals are good deals.
Well, and also, like, especially for that first property, you don't even know if you like real estate yet, and you're trying to do these complicated, just for that first one, just get it like more traditionally, right?
Yeah.
So understand if you, and this is why I love house hacking though too so much, is because you need somewhere to live. We all need somewhere to live. So you might as well, it's like you're trained. And it's so funny because people also think of house hacking as like a lower tier strategy, or,
I house hack.
Right?
And my net worth is close to 8 figures, and I house hack.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's such a powerful strategy. You need a place to live. And there's so many ways to do it where, for example, my property I just bought right now, 2 fully separate entrances, right? Like, I'm not having to see the person ever. That's ever.
No, I never see my guests either.
Oh,
it can
my
be done.
goodness.
It can be done. And so for those who are thinking to themselves, and we're in the green room a little bit, people who say, I don't want anyone in my personal space. They don't have to be, right?
Yeah.
They don't have to be. You have a separate entrance. There's the right way and the safe way of doing it. So I just hope everyone opens their mind, because the Maslow's hierarchy of needs says if your food and your shelter is taken care of, you get to live another day. So if you're in here listening, you're fighting for your life, you're stressed, you're burnt out. I hear it all the time. Setting up a house hack kind of gives you that, okay, my mortgage is covered, my rent's covered. And you know what? I can figure out what my next strategy is going to be, what tomorrow's going to look like. You get to make better decisions for yourself.
100%. I mean, that's like, I literally quit off of one property because I was house hacking, because my expenses were paid for. And it's like, it's crazy because that happened like 3 years ago, and it's just crazy. The ramp up, once you have your basic living expenses, you can take some more risks,
You can save up for that second property, and then you can save up and continue to grow strategically and sustainably.
Completely. Okay, so that first property that you
Yes.
got, was that a short-term rental right off the bat? Was it an MTR? What
It
was
was a
the
short-term
okay.
rental right off the bat. And what's interesting is that, so prior, I fast forwarded a little bit too much, but prior to really deciding, this is what I'm going to do, short-term rentals, I had evaluated all of the investing strategies,
Mhm.
multifamily syndications, warehouses, storage facilities, everything. And I did two columns. I did the ROE, my return on energy, how much energy is it really going to take for me to manage this? And
Yeah.
the ROI, the return on income or return on investment, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, there was an asymmetric, benefit with short-term rentals. Yes, it's going to be some work upfront, but the benefits, the
Yeah.
revenue, the ROI surpassed all of the other strategies, so much so that it was the right thing for me right then and right there. Because at the end of the day, the multifamily, the syndications, the crowdfunding, for those of you who are in group funding situations, those are great too. Those are better, like passive investing strategies where you'll get a couple hundred a month, a couple hundred a quarter,
Yeah.
or nothing until the asset is sold. But I needed cash right then and there. I need
Yep.
money now.
Yep.
That's my money now.
Yep.
The passive is like money tomorrow, but I needed money now. I
Yeah.
needed to
So
find a
I'm trying to
way.
quit my job. I need cash right now.
Right, right. And so I hope the listeners recognize that we're not putting down any strategy, right? Olivia, you have a variety of strategies that
Mhm.
you delve into, but there's your money now strategy and there's your money later strategy.
Yeah.
And so if you're thinking you need money now, you need to cut back on your W-2, you need to clean up some debts, you need, that pocket of rest. Short-term rental was really the answer for me. And during that time, it was 2018, 2019 came, 2020 came with the pandemic. Well, guess what? Midterm rentals became a hot topic because we
Yep.
had families who had sold their homes and they weren't able to move into the next property that was supposed to be ready for them, or they weren't able to go overseas. And so
Mhm.
we had a family stay in our property for 6 months. And
Oh
that's
my God.
what started to plant the seed for midterm rental for us. And so looking at that $6,000 a month check on a $1,500 a month mortgage, I was like, okay, let's buy another one right here.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to go deep. A lot of people are like, I'm going to buy a property here, here, here. No, can we do it again in the
Yeah.
same location, please?
Yeah.
So, right, or the vicinity. So go deep before you go wide, because I already had my cleaners, I already had my maintenance.
Mhm.
So that there's something to be said, for that ramp up phase as well. So we went on and got our second property the following year in that same market, a little bit bigger, a little bit, further out from that specific community.
I know. And that's like, a lot of people follow me because I'd like to travel. And as wonderful as it sounds, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a vacation home here and I have a vacation home
Yeah.
there and in this country, blah, blah, blah. Logistically, it's honestly so much easier to just go deep in one or two markets, buy a bunch of properties there, and then you can go vacation wherever the heck you want. And you don't have to worry about creating a whole brand new team here and a whole brand
Yeah.
new team there. That being said, I know for me, like I 100% want a vacation property in Europe. I'm there every single year. I've got family there, all of that. So that is more of a reason to like buy an investment property out of country. But
Yeah.
like for the like ease, especially if you're buying that first or that second property, it's so much easier and quicker to just buy in the US in one market, stick to it and go deep.
100%, 100%. And then you have economies of scale. Your cleaners, oh, now they know they have two properties they're cleaning. They pay more
Mhm.
attention to you,
Yep.
So economies of scale is great. And I'm with you too. We were just lamenting over not being in Portugal at the
Yes.
moment because we both love Portugal. So I'm with you 100%. But to start off, I would say two or three in the same market to start off, and then you can explore other markets later on.
Okay, y'all, do I have something exciting for you? Now, I just came out with a brand new free training on exactly how you, yes, you can get started investing in real estate within the next 3 months. Because if you're someone who wants more freedom in your life, the ability to travel the world and do the things that you actually want to do in life, you're going to want to listen up. Trust me. Now, this training is freaking awesome. I literally go in and spill the tea on the number one strategy that is working right now, like literally today, in today's market. And I go over how to look at deals and make sure that they actually cash flow, and how to set your properties up so that you can run them from anywhere in the world. Like, I literally have managed my properties from over 6 different time zones. So if you are stuck in analysis paralysis, you don't know where to start when it comes to real estate investing, but you know that it's something that you want to do in the future, this training is going to be for you. So to check it out, click the link in the show notes or DM me the word hack, like HACK, on Instagram, and I will send you the link. Now let's dive back into the show.
Yes. And so, okay, were one of these, because I know you were on a Netflix show.
Yeah.
So what Netflix show was it? And what property was it that made it onto this Netflix show, and why? Like, can you explain a little bit more about how that happened?
100%. So it was the second property that we purchased. Like I said,
Okay,
I wanted to go a little bit bigger. And so I did. And so for the ramp up, I said, I'm going to give it 30-day minimum because I really want the cleaners to get this right. We're interviewing 2 different cleaning teams that we had worked with. We wanted to figure out who we wanted to be primary. And so we're going to be training and ramping them up. But I just needed a 30-day booking if possible so that I can ramp this property up, figure out what my next best steps were. So once I listed it on the Airbnb platform, I turned on my dynamic pricing tool. I use a tool called Price Labs that automatically pushes the price out to Airbnb for me every single night. They update and refresh based on the current market. It uses AI to find out vacancy and occupancy and demand. And you have to train it, right? It doesn't always do the right thing. No offense, Price Labs, if you're listening, my friends, love you to pieces. Thank you for the retreat sponsorship. But nevertheless, yes. So I went ahead and I turned on that tool, fully expecting that anything can happen, but I'm ready to update the pricing. The smaller property was making $6,000. This one I was expecting $8,000. Oh, we're going to put a little something more into it. Dare I think $9,000? But no, not $10,000, because $10,000, who has $10,000 a month to pay in rent? That's ridiculous.
Right.
Little girl from Haiti, I had my own self-limiting beliefs. Mm-hmm. So there's no way. I turned it on. It listed the property at $28,000. And I was like, okay, this thing is obviously broken. Let me go ahead and turn it off. It got booked.
Insanity.
Olivia.
28,000. Okay,
38.
who is booking this place at $28,000 a month?
It was the executive director of The Walking Dead. Interesting, right? And so I'm here thinking, whoa, this is insane, but it's a fluke. It's a fluke. The next month it got booked for $22,000. It was all state insurance.
Crazy.
And then it just continued on, ranging from 15 to 24,000, landed around the $22,000 on average per month on a property whose mortgage is $2,500 a month.
Oh my God, that's
purchase
insane.
Price
insane.
$420,440. Like, that was my big girl house, right? This is not $1 million house. People keep thinking and putting me in this category. I may look like $1 million, but I'm not spending $1 million on real estate.
Right.
And so it was interesting. AirDNA, this casting company called Mystic Arts that was casting for a show for Netflix, caught wind, saw the numbers on the background, and they just reached out to me for this show. I'm not a show business person. The show is called Buy My House, and it was hilarious. It was like, okay, who would have thought it? A pharmacist who bought a property that's generated, so this is not something that I would say was ever in the cards for me. I've never been someone to say, I want to be on camera or anything like that. But that's really how it happened. They reached out. I was like, sure, let's do it. Not thinking we would get casted or selected, but we were.
That's incredible. Okay, so a big question, just, is this specifically just your, because, a lot of people hear these numbers and they're like, that's insane. That probably doesn't exist in my market, right? So what types of markets are you looking for where you can get like insane bookings like that on such a good price point, right? And I know, price points have probably changed a little since when did you get started? Like, when did you buy that property?
So that property was 2019.
2019. So prices have probably changed a little bit since then, but like still, where are you finding properties like within a decent price range that are cash flowing that much?
So to be honest with you, this is in a suburban market in Georgia. This is not a destination market or a touristic market or anything like that. But there are some key components that I think really made this property shine. Number one, it was a little bit of a larger property. So if you could swing it, I would encourage your audience to try to look for a 4+ bedroom property, because a lot of people are investing in the 1 or 2 bedrooms. So it becomes a little bit diluted in terms of, saturation. I hate that term. We can talk about that another day. But with the 4 bedrooms, plus you're able to kind of peacock, and stick out from the crowd. Number two, it was in a pretty good school district, a place where, Georgia is now the Hollywood of the South. So a place where the actors and actresses actually wanted to put their kids in school, quiet neighborhood. It has golf cart paths, like nothing ultra out of the ordinary, but like a nicer neighborhood, a safer neighborhood, right? And so that's my specific scenario. A few of my neighbors, they saw me, they're like, hey, could you help us do this as well?
Yeah.
And so like this particular property, the bigger one was 6 bedrooms. We installed the same strategy in a 4 bedroom in the neighborhood. She was able to get about $16,000 a month, which is mind blowing, mind boggling, right? And on Friday of last week, I got an inquiry from the insurance company. Now, the insurance company is who we're serving primarily, the temporary housing agency. So those families who are displaced from their homes due to disaster.
Yeah.
That's what she was able to get $16,000 a month for the family who is displaced, because they're coming from a medium to higher cost of living area for Georgia, right? Georgia is not all like New York or LA, but this is a higher cost of living Georgia. I just got an inquiry for $14,700 for another 4 bedroom, right? And they're coming at you knowing that, because it all has to do with the asset. If the asset has value in it, say it's a $400,000 home, the actual structure, the rebuild value is $400,000 on the actual structure. Well, about 25% of that is what the insurance is willing to pay per month.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Yeah. So that's $100,000 a year that you can make off of that one property. And so, so that's the math. I've done a lot of deep dive.
That's huge. That's huge. Well, and okay, so where are you listing these places? Because I know some people hear, okay, cool, like insurance companies, I'm going to do that. And then they start, listing it. They're like, where do I actually post this? Well, how do these insurance companies find me? Right?
Okay, so that's a great question. Believe it or not, if you are looking to make money in real estate in this day and in this age, and you're not using Airbnb as one of the pillars, just a sliver, it's like you've decided to climb Mount Everest completely naked. Airbnb is one of the places that we list. We get inquiries from Airbnb. We get inquiries from Vrbo. We have the 4 bedroom plus properties. So Furnish Finder, I know. Yeah. You get a lot of bargain hunters on Furnish Finder. So they're getting better. Okay. They're getting better. But Airbnb, we use Vrbo, VRBO, we use corporate housing by owner. And then we use the internal insurance company's platform. So the insurance company, I'm using that loosely, but really it's a third-party agency they deal with. The number one third-party agency in North America is ALE Solutions. And so we list on their platform as well. All you do is you go to list my property. You don't even need photos. You just put in your address and they will reach out. And so we do that on a monthly basis. And
I was going to say for that one, it's like, you just have to remember, like now I have my VA doing it, but it's like once every couple, depending on the season. So I have a couple properties in Louisiana and New Orleans, and we all know hurricanes, right? Yeah. And so they're like during hurricane season, it's once every 2 weeks.
100%. Yeah. Florida's about to get hit.
Yeah. It's a struggle. It is definitely a struggle. Part of why I'm not investing over there. But to be fair, I've really had no issues with my property.
It's like, right?
Everyone has that fear, right? But anything can happen anywhere. Honestly.
Anywhere.
And my properties have been just fine.
Yeah. So 80% of my people who come to me in the Georgia markets for midterm rental due to disaster displacement,
Mm-hmm.
80% are due to accidental disasters. The kids set the house on fire.
Mm-hmm.
They hear like water in the house and they move the fridge, and all of a sudden it's a waterfall, a
Oh my God.
flood from a water pipe that bursts. 80% is due to accidental, like something happened to the house.
Yeah.
20% are due to catastrophic, like natural catastrophes, but most of mine in Georgia are just accidental mishaps that are happening in the property.
Yep. So fair. Oh my goodness. Well, so I wanna switch gears real quick, just because I think your background is so interesting, and I know that there are so many other like I'm an immigrant too, in a way. Like, so my family is originally from Angola, but then I moved to the UK. I was born in the UK and then moved here and became an American citizen when in like 2018, something like that. But I kind of have the same, where it's like, my background is you just work really, really freaking hard, and that is how you get anything. Like, you have to work really hard. You have to like go get the good job. I went into engineering, did the whole thing. So tell me a little bit about how your mindset really transitioned from that little girl from Haiti, right, who's just such a hard worker, to where you are now, and like what you kind of learned through that process.
That's such a good question. And I could totally relate with what you're sharing. Yes, work hard, get the good job, and work that good job for the next 40 years until you retire. And that was the path. That was the path that was shown to me. And you better be grateful too, right?
Yeah. So
You got
grateful.
the good job. You better be grateful too.
Yes.
You got the big doctor behind your, your name. However, there came a time where you ever feel that something's not right?
Yep.
I don't know what that is. And I just felt that something's just not right. Something's just not right. Here I am using all of my God-given talents and skills and to build someone else's business. And I started to encounter some moral injury. There's nothing like training someone of the opposite gender and watching them get paid more than you. Like, there's something to that, and things started to change a little bit for me with that first property. Girl, could nobody tell me
Oh my gosh.
nothing. When you start to have money coming in on the side,
right, that you're not like working super hard for,
the desperation energy just starts to kind of melt away.
Yeah.
It started to dissipate. I started to wear like a new set of glasses. I could see clearly.
Yeah.
I could see clearly. And I became an advocate. Really, in the workplace, there were some scenarios where, so-and-so is working overtime, but she's not getting paid. I'm like, excuse me, why is she not getting paid? Excuse me. Like, I became like
starting trouble.
I was tired of them. They were tired of me.
Yeah.
But there's something about some money coming in from the side. And I started to realize, you know what? If I don't have a seat at the table, I'm on the menu.
Yeah.
And so instead of continuing that fight to get a seat at that table, I opted, you know what? Let me go and build my own table.
Yeah.
And so I have my own table now. I remember we got to sit and mastermind together and have dinner. You pulled up the seat, and that's the beauty of it. This is what lights me up.
Yeah.
The other stuff, it just started to not light me up anymore. And again, I was anticipating this is what I'm going to do for the next 4 years. No one goes into medicine to quit, right?
Right.
And I rage quit, which is what I tell my members. I help doctors. I tell them, don't ever rage quit, girl. I rage quit so hard.
I honestly rage quit too. Like, literally, I got back from a conference, gave my 3 weeks notice. I'm like, bye. Oh man.
Oh my God. Yeah. So good.
Oh my gosh. I know. I'm like, if you can, really plan it out methodically.
Yes.
But honestly, though, I think
property
for me,
before you rage quit.
Right. But I think for me, like, I needed to rage quit. Like, I needed that, like, I think some personalities kind of do need that push over the edge of the mountain, right? Like, so it's like you either sink or swim, right? Or I'm definitely mixing metaphors here, but you get what I mean.
And you know what? Let me interject something, because I think this is one of the struggles, from people who, like us, who are immigrants, who we have the doctor, we're set on that pedestal, like we did the thing, and my identity somehow had meshed with it. Yeah. And so I was going through a series of like, who will I become if I quit? Who am I? Like my husband, he had already quit, and he was like, why are you still struggling? And I could not figure out, well, who would I become? Am I still her? Am I a doctor still? Am I, and I questioned all those things. And it was a matter of, just wanting to hold on to something. I was more comfortable with, sitting there in an uncertain hell than, to even allow myself to dream of a heaven that I just wasn't exposed to yet.
Totally.
And so it's something, it's quite interesting. And I walked through the process. I had it planned out. There's like a Subway store nearby that I was going to go there. And I went through a little therapy for it, and they said, okay, you're going to cry out the old Rachel and inhale the new Rachel. And so I had it mapped out. It was like January. By December, I was going to quit. And so every single month I had a process of, okay, this month, here's one way I'm going to chip away at it. And then March, I'm going to do this. And by February, I rage quit. I did not.
I'm out. Bye. Oh my gosh. No, and I feel that so much on the identity piece. Like I remember I had a huge blowout with my parents because I basically told them I'm quitting. Like I was just like, this isn't for me. And I spent all of this time and energy becoming an engineer and blah, 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 blah. But I just knew. And I remember just crying because I was shedding this old identity that I'd spent so much time and energy and effort pouring into. Like, who was I if I wasn't an engineer? And I had a lot of pride around that. It's like, I'm a young Black female engineer and I did all this work and I'm smart. It's like, are people still going to think that I'm smart? Are people, all of this crazy stuff that's just like wrapped in that identity.
For sure. And good for you. I waited a year to tell my parents. I was so scared of them.
Oh, I was terrified too. Like literally we didn't speak for a month after I told them because it was just not good.
Yeah. And here's the deal, Olivia, not that we're doing this so that we can run back crying to our jobs, but if we really wanted to, we could. And that's what I had to think to myself. You know what? They would welcome me back with
exactly. Although I don't know anymore because I crap on engineering on my podcast and everything all the time. So I don't know.
There is a lot of employers looking for employees. It doesn't matter. They will.
That's so fair.
They would still take you back. I'm just saying, right? Because that's the thing. No one can take that away from us, right? Yes. So if push came to shove, and for whatever reason we needed to go back, we can go back. But the thing is, we had to try, and we're not one-trick ponies. And that's what I learned. Hey, I'm not a one-trick pony. I can actually do something outside of what I thought I was predestined to do.
And be better at it.
New decision, right? Be better at it and enjoy it. And it's a different phase of my life. And so I'm going to enjoy it till its absolute fullest and make an even bigger impact than I would have ever dreamt of.
Completely. Well, and that's like, I always think now I have so many other, if I ever wanted to go back into corporate, I have so many other incredible skills. Like I built all of these businesses and I've done all of this.
Who ever thought we would have been these marketers?
Right. I know marketing way more than most people who got a degree in marketing at this point. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, so we are getting to the end of the episode here, but I want to ask you the 3 final questions that I ask every single person that comes on the show. So number 1, what does your ideal perfect day look like?
Ooh, so for me, it's a slow day. I'm not an early riser. I'm more of a night owl. So it's a slow day. I have my coffee. I go to the gym. I work out and I grab a nice book and I just lounge. For me, it's just lounging. And from there, head over to some self-care appointments. My husband and I will do the water we call it the water spa at one of those
Oh.
fancy resorts nearby, and then
Oh my
we'll
gosh.
enjoy that from red light therapy, a little green light therapy,
Love
hot and
it.
cold, all the things. So to me, that would be the ideal day.
I love it. I know I'm going to Argentina on Friday, and I just booked and so it's one of my birthday trips. I'm turning 30, and 10 of my best friends are coming to Argentina as well.
No
So it's going to be
way.
fabulous. And we booked a day at these natural hot springs, and we're getting
Yes.
massages, and I cannot wait.
Love that.
This is so fabulous.
Happiest birthday, my friend.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, question number 2. What is your mantra?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Or just anything that you tell yourself over and over again?
Okay, so I have a mantra and I have a quote that I live by. Is that okay if I
Ooh,
share
yes.
with you?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So my mantra is you've already won.
Ooh, I love that.
You've already won, right? As long as you're showing up, and I want the audience to know you're showing up, you're in the game.
Yeah.
Someone just shared with me, oh my gosh, this deal just went sour. I said, you've already won. You're in the game. You're showing up. We're going to put it on the market. We're going to sell it. You're in it. You're in the game. You've already won.
Okay, I love that because I'm just coming off of a launch that, didn't perform like there were parts of it that were awesome, but it didn't perform as well as I'd hoped. And whenever that happens, you're like, am I doing the right thing? But then I always have to go back to, I know where I'm at. I know where I'm at. I've already made it. I'm already there,
Yeah.
And it's
it
just
gives you
knowing that.
information, right?
Yeah.
That launch gives you information now
Mhm.
what to tweak because you've already won.
Exactly. I love that. That is wonderful.
Yeah,
Okay.
I use that for a lot of self-talk, honey. Me too.
Yes. No, that is
Part of being a business
fabulous.
owner, right? Every week is a new challenge, but it's a new win as well.
Completely. And it's just working so much on your mindset too.
Yeah.
And that's a crazy thing. Like you just don't work on in corporate America. I feel like there was this whole side of me that I just didn't know because they don't focus on it at all.
Not at all. And so
Okay.
my quote, if you want me to share that,
Yes.
okay. And it deals with like team building as well as people that come into my circle. It says people will be loyal to you in direct proportion to the amount of growth they experience because of you. And so just always pouring in, whether it's friends, family, coaching clients, my team, so the more growth they experience, the more I see that they're like, oh, I want to do more with you.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Okay, that is so real because even like for my program, we offer an extension at the end of it. And I'm expecting like no one to take it up, right? Because they're like, okay, got what I need. Even if they purchased a property, all of that stuff. And so many people are like, actually, no, I want to extend. I'm like, wait, what?
Gosh, I love it.
Oh. Okay, well, final question. What does wealth mean to you?
Ooh, that's good. And I'm going to sound a little cliche, but wealth to me means I get to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, in the location that I want.
Yep.
And so it just means freedom, being free to do what I want, wherever I want, and free to make that impact that I want to make.
Yeah.
So,
I know that's like, so someone asked me, you know how certain people have a specific word that describes like everything that they do. So do you listen to Lewis Howe's, what's his podcast? School of Greatness.
I almost say House of Greatness.
Right. School of Greatness. And how his word is just greatness, right? And I'm like, my word really is just freedom. Like freedom to do everything, anything, whatever the heck you want. Like if you want to go take 3 weeks off and go to Argentina, you can do that. If you want to go, like I literally earlier this year picked up my stuff. My home base was in New Orleans, threw my stuff in my car and started driving. And now I bought a new house in Colorado, right? Like I was just like, I gotta move. But that freedom is like what most of us are searching for, right? It's not even necessarily a totally different life. It's the choice to be able to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, with whom you want to do it, where you want to do it.
Yeah. And if you could like take a step back and look at the Olivia then versus the Olivia now, it's incremental, right?
Yeah.
So for me, the freedom was, can I just pick up my kids from school on Thursday?
Yeah.
And now it's building an orphanage in Haiti, right? So that
love.
right, that was a jump.
Right.
that was a jump, right?
Yeah.
So I just want the audience to know your freedom could be just this one pocket of rest, this one day off or half day off, and it could start small. Olivia and I, we're on the opposite spectrum, right? I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to do the safari and I got to go college shopping and all of the things. So life looks differently, but the thing is, you got to take that first step. You got to take some action now.
Completely. 100%. Well, this was absolutely freaking wonderful, Rachel. Where can people find you if they want to reach out to you, follow you, learn more about everything that you're doing?
Oh, yes. You can find me on social media. I'm at short.term.gems. That's short.term.gems, GEMS. I hate that I put the dots in the middle now. But you don't know until you do it, right?
Yes.
Other than that, I do have a free resource, 75gems.com. That's 75gems.com to show you where I'm investing for my next short-term rentals. Those are the cities that I'm looking at.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you. Well, this was amazing. Seriously, like just so much, just a great inspirational story and just so much knowledge. And I just love talking to you, honestly.
You too. We can hang out all day, guys. This is not a drill. Like, we actually love chatting with each other. So thank you, Olivia.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Wanderlust Wealth Show. Now, don't forget to follow the podcast, or if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you love this episode, it would literally mean the world to me if you shared this with a friend or a family member, or literally like anyone off of the street. Like right now, go ahead, share it so you don't forget, or post it on social media and make sure to tag me. I love seeing what you're listening in on and what you resonated with, and I'm just so freaking thankful for you. I'm so freaking excited for you. I love you, and don't forget, life really doesn't have to be hard.